Welcome to the chat, baby.
What's up? Hey, respect to everybody here.
Hey, John, I respect you, bro. I respect. Hey, look, the reason I brought you here
because your post is crazy.
No. He got
it. I mean it.
We got it. All right, we're gonna stand on it in the chat.
I mean everything about it, bro. I'm not double backing on it. Respect to your legacy, I would say. What I view this as right now is a betrayal to artists everywhere, bro. What you're doing is you're backdooring us. You got into a position of power, and instead of choosing to unionize and fight against this AI, which I'm not stupid. I use ChatGPT to script out screenplays, things like that. I use ChatGPT on a daily to think of content ideas, to do the menial task, the meaningless task that a robot should do. I'm a spiritual person, and I believe that artists all are tapped into a divine entity, right? When you go and you start creating and you allow some fucking robot to come in and finish your song, you're cutting yourself off from the divine. And let me not even get that deep with it. What I think you're doing is you're doing something that's, in a sense, demonic, bro. And I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but it feels demonic. You're choosing to go against us all and put this robot, instead of signing an artist, instead of having someone who has a voice that you could put on and put on your platform. All these motherfuckers you had on the live, all this cool shit you were doing, you choose to go in this direction.
John.
All right, this is the book of 1 John, chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse 15. It says, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him." Verse 16, "For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world." Verse 17, "And the world passeth away and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of Yahawah abideth forever." I want to give all honor, all glory, and all praise unto Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawah Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the elders of the nation of Israel. Shalom to you brothers out there that are laboring, enduring the elements, making your body a living sacrifice, trying to seal the elect, making your call and election sure, seeking out your own salvation, as well as you sisters that are learning, listening, applying, being obedient to your husbands. Shalom, shalom. Once again, it's the brother Zechariah coming back to you with another lesson, and Lord willing, this be edifying. Okay. And before I read this verse again, I want to say to that brother I did the rebuke on, I do commend you, because he responded back in the inbox, and he actually shocked me, because I expected him to probably get mad, probably block me, and maybe he might, I don't know. But from what he responded, he seemed like, hey, he took the rebuke and said he didn't mean nothing by it and stuff like that. And all I was just saying is that we just got to show a little bit of understanding and compassion for our people. They don't know the names, and that's why it's up to us to be diligent and bring out the videos. Okay, if you see a video and they keep saying God, or they're saying Jesus and stuff, well, our people don't know that. Okay, we don't. At one time we didn't know. Okay, you go back on our pages, our history, and one time we didn't know. So we were shaving our faces. We didn't have a beard on our face. We was calling on those names as well. All right, we didn't know. All right, we were in a Gentile state of mind. So with that, man, that understanding, we can't just come into this truth and act like we were always in it. We fell as a people, man. Okay, and so that we just got to keep that in mind. And that's all I was just shedding a light on with that. But what happens is that we end up becoming in the hot seat whenever we move in a type of spirit. But the brother apologized, and I give him that, man, and I accept it. And like I said, it seemed like you got a good spirit on you, because that really surprised me. Because a lot of times Jake in this thing can't take rebuke. Hey, I took rebuke. I got rebuked. There was I had my testimony where I wasn't going out on the highways, but I did not understand. But, that still didn't mean I wasn't worthy of that rebuke. I deserved it, and I took it. That was the Heavenly Father giving me the green light. Hey, that was it. That's where I took it as. This is the green light, because that's what I was looking for. Because I'm excited. I'm like, man, I'm watching these brothers. They're out there, and I'm commending them, and what they're doing, because I knew that it was serious, and of course I had to be groomed. I had to be taught and stuff. And I took it very serious. I have all kinds of notebooks of just lessons or things that brothers were bringing out, especially like the elders. Elder Gabar is big on it. He always, I noticed, like when he does some of his lessons, he'll put out notes and stuff like that. And he might even recommend you, hey, take these down, take notes and stuff like that. All right. That's why a lot of times you see me with my notepad, when I'm out there. I'm very, I'm like, the way my style of teaching is different from brothers. I don't just turn the camera on and just speak. They say that's flowing with the spirit, but hey, being diligent and actually, the spirit is also being well prepared. Okay. With these lessons, I don't want to just be out there and just rambling. That's why you hear me say that time to time. I don't want to be rambling. I want to be on point on what I'm talking about, okay, and be very organized, because our people do have a short attention span, and some can get into a lesson and start rambling. Next thing you know, the lesson could have been maybe 35, 40 minutes. It turned out to be like 2-3 hours long, and Jake, their attention span, they can't sit there and just watch a 3-hour video. All right. So, it'd be things like that. But he seemed like he got a good spirit on you. And we seem like we might be around the same age bracket, and probably more than likely woke up around the same time. Because I looked at some of your posts. You had the 2017, which was the time where the Heavenly Father was beginning to wake me up. But I still didn't understand everything, because you ain't gonna learn it all in one day. It could be years. You learn a little bit here and there. You still might be eating food. You start getting away from the pork, but then you're realizing, hey man, even some of these granola bars might have pork in it. Things like that you didn't know. But the more you learn, the more and then you stop, man. You stop eating it and stuff like that. You start learning those hidden words. It's a lot of different things. Okay. So, I do commend you on that, man. And that's definitely the right spirit to be in. Somebody that can take a rebuke and apologize, and then we move forward from that. Because, hey, we all can learn, every day, and it's true. All right. So with that, I do commend you, man. All right. Now back to this, I want to read 1 John 2:17. Again, well, actually, let me go back to verse 15, Salakia. All right, because it was 3 verses. All right. All right, again, 1 John 2 and starting at verse 15 says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. Okay, if any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Okay, verse 16, it says, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, okay, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. Okay, in verse 17, and the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of YAHAWAH abideth forever. Absolutely. Now, you saw the clip in the beginning of the lesson, all right, in the intro. You had a Jake getting on the producer known as Timbaland, because, what he's doing is he's deciding to go with, he's signing an AR artist, which is AI. It's not a real person, and using that as like, I'm going to produce and make music for this. And Jake is like, that's a slap in the face to artists, people who are, they look up to him, and they look like, hey man, for like a deal or be signed, and he could take an artist of pure talent, and you're looking past artists now, and you're going to a machine. All right. Which all of it is it's in vain anyways, and this is coming from a guy who's been in the music almost 2 decades. I've been doing music for a very long time. All right. And, I worked with big artists. I've done stuff, I got kinfolk, that are in the music industry, but I never really went to that point of being like a big old star or nothing like that. Now I was at the point of taking it that way, but the Heavenly Father was beginning to wake me up around that time. And he was like, nah, this ain't the path you going on. All right. And ultimately I wasn't doing it for like fame. I was doing it because I wanted to make a living and want to, start a family. But I'm like, man, this 9-to-5 stuff just don't get it. And any Jake can attest to that. The 9-to-5s just don't pay like that. So I wanted to use my gifts, my talents to actually make a better living, like for me and mine, start a family and be able to provide, But that was according to the world. I didn't have this truth and understanding. So, you can't get on me for that. But now that we come into this truth, I think about Moses, how he gave up the pleasures of sin in Egypt to suffer with his people Israel. Okay. And that was that right there was enough for me, to move, suffer for my people Israel and not go that route, into the music, trying to make it, because, what is that going to what is that going to do for me? Just a little season, of that, when you can have the whole kingdom, under Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. I'd rather have the kingdom than that, So, they can miss me with that, but yeah, a lot of Jakes, man, are feeling some kind of way, and I feel them. Man, when you see that, and Timberland, he couldn't say too much, he couldn't say too much about it. And he was a producer I really look up to. I have an uncle who's a producer, and he worked under Timberland and stuff like that because, he worked with the group Player, which they're from here. Any of y'all that know, ever heard of the group Player, they're from my city, which is Louisville, Kentucky. And Static Major wrote for all your biggest artists, like especially Genuine and Aaliyah, who were under Timberland. Static was writing a lot of those songs on their albums. All right. And he wrote for many other artists like Beyonce, Pretty Ricky. He did work with Twista, David Banner. Shoot, man, you name it, man. It's so many artists you can think of, but he had his hand in Lil Wayne, the Lollipop song. He wrote that. He was featured on it. All right. He passed away after writing that song, which was crazy because me and him, I was trying to work with him after that he did that song, which, we were going to do something, and he ended up passing away. All right. So, but it is what it is. But that's not our path, okay? This place is not our rest, all right? And plus, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, which, this AI stuff, man, is crazy, all right? But this is Matthew 6 and verse 24. It says, no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, okay? Or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon, okay? God as in Yahawah, okay? You can't serve Yahawah and mammon, all right? And, us in this faith, Jake, we like rap. We listen to rap and stuff. Back in the day, it was more conscious, okay? You listen to some of it, it was storytelling and things like that. And it uplift our people. But then around like the 90s, because, I'm an 80s baby. So, but you had Slick Rick, Kumo D, Grandmaster Flash, LL Cool J, back in the day, who else am I thinking about? KRS-One. All right. Hey, he was saying stuff. He knew that we came from Shem. All right. He knew we came from Shem. He had a rap, and you see a lot of us that, brothers that was waking up in the truth, they would play that freestyle, that song he did. All right. But, back in the 90s, man, Esau had to hey, man, because that music was powerful. All right. So now he, of course, he's going to take our gifts, our talents, and he's going to corrupt it, but also, profit off of it. OK, well, that's why when you look at the music industry, and that was another thing, too, that kept me away from the industry, because I was like, man, you start realizing them people are the ones that are running the industry. All right. Most of your big labels, you look at who runs them behind closed doors, it's the Amalekites, man. All right. But again, it says, no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve Yahawah and mammon. All right. So let's get that word mammon real quick. All right. And I got the word mammon, and it says wealth regarded as a evil influence or false object of worship and devotion. It was taken by medieval writers as the name of the devil of covetousness and revived in the sense of Milton. All right. All right. So and let's see this. What does mammon mean biblically? All right. All right. It says in the Bible, mammon generally refers to money, riches, material possessions, particularly those that are pursued with a strong desire for security or happiness. OK, and we find our security and happiness in YAHAWAH, Yahweh Shai. All right. So we don't care about the riches of this world. We just getting our daily bread. But that's not enough for our people. OK, so they'll do things and compromise themselves to get some type of wealth and have a good, stable living in this world. OK, so even if I didn't have this truth, I wouldn't sell myself out, not for no $1 million. Man, you out of your mind. OK, this is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 11.
All right, it's lucky. I was indoors. I'm coming out because it stopped raining. It was coming down a little bit. I think I'm probably going to have to use my second location to do my highways and hedges, which I like to be out in the open, but I don't know. I have a sense that it's going to start pouring down because it's supposed to rain all the way up to like 6. And I know I'll be out there in my highways. You know, this will be my last lesson before getting ready for my highways and hedges. So I think I might be in my second location. But that's okay. The word's still going to go out. All right, but let's get back to this. This is First Maccabees 1:11. It says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men. So we have wicked individuals amongst our people, okay, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. And this is a lot of our people even today. These celebrities, you know, they compromise and they sell out with Esau to have some type of living. But it comes with a price, man, okay? And it's hard for them to grasp this truth. Even when they start to learn, like those Amalekites ain't who they really say they are. You know, you think the whole time you thought they were the children of the Most High. And then you come to find out they're not, but they're the devil that the Bible speaks of. You know, Revelations 2nd chapter says they are the synagogue of Satan. All right. But this is the book of Luke, chapter 6 and verse 24. And it says, but woe unto you that are rich. Okay, for ye have received your consolation. Okay, you received your prize. All right, you know, you got your prize. Our prize is going to come from YAHAWAH, man. All right, so we're not going to sell out. That's why even when you look at Timberland, man, you see like those bags under his eyes. You know, some of us probably got like the baggy eyes. You know, we tired, hey, we're worn out. But man, he just looked real drained. Back in the day, man, Timberland looked real healthy, and he looked kind of sunk in, and he just looked like real drained, man. Like, you know, and that's what happens, man, when you sell your soul, man. You sell out. You know, I knew a guy around here from Louisville, man. He was a big rapper. Well, he was local, but he got big, and because he worked at a hotel. And he was a lot of celebrities, they come down here for like Kentucky Derby and all that, the horse racing. So, you know, he's working at a hotel. You know, a lot of times he was doing room service, which is crazy because I worked at a hotel and I did room service, you know, but I worked over on the southern Indiana side. So I didn't really get many celebrities. There were a few football players, NFL and stuff. A few actors might have been at our hotel because they didn't want to deal with the big city like Louisville. But he would run into celebrities all the time, and he slip his demo and stuff. Well, make a long story short, he got in because he could be a good songwriter, and he wrote songs for big artists too. But he worked with big artists as well. But he came across Timberland because he was a big fan of Timberland too. A lot of people around here like Timberland because we know that Static is from here. You know, most of us know Static. Like I said, Static and my uncle were good friends, and plus my uncle worked under Timberland. But, you know, this artist said when he got to meet Timberland, he came back and told it. He said, man, what crushed me the most was meeting, because he said he looked at Timberland like an idol, you know, which I ain't gone that far. I like Timberland. Timberland is my all-time favorite producer. But he said when he met him, he said it crushed him because he liked Timberland, but he said that Timberland was an asshole unto him. And he was like, whoa. But he said that it changed him. He said, he learned that a lot of them artists, they become assholes so that people don't get over on them and stuff. And I was like, man, that's crazy though, because you look at Timberland as, you know, this guy, you know, you think he's okay and cool, and then find out he's a straight up asshole, you know. But look at him now, man. You know, he looked drained, man. Like his soul's just being sucked out of him. All right. So again, it says, but woe unto you that are rich, for ye have received your consolation. So you got your prize, man. All right. Now I want to get this pulled up, okay? And it says, because this is another thing that was heavy with the music, and this has been a big talk. It says Memphis rap superstar Glorilla featured on J-Hope's new track after BET Gospel Award win. And that drew a lot of controversy because now a lot of these gospel artists are like, whoa, so now we're getting you know, instead of gospel artists who devote their time, which they, you know, in their mind, you know, they believe that they're making songs unto the Lord, all right, unto YAHAWAH, which, you know, they're calling on God and Jesus, so they're calling on different deities, you know, all right, which we're going to get into that here in a second. But you know, but there's an uproar in the gospel community because of this. Because they're like, you know, they could have went to a gospel artist, but they're giving it to a secular artist. You know, now they're the ones showing up, and look at how she's dressed. You know, nothing about that is, you know, what they would call Christian. You know, she would be covered up. She should be covered up. She's got all kind of tattoos, which some of us, even in this truth, got tattoos. I got tattoos. We got them when we were in the world, but you know that we know better. We not going. You know, hey, you know, Jake ain't gonna look at a tattoo parlor. You know what I'm saying? But you know, you learn from your mistakes. Okay, you know, hey, it's going off. All right. It's going off, you know. But yeah, she won this BET award, all right, and it says Glorilla won a BET award for Best Gospel Inspirational Song for Rain Down on Me. Glorilla collaborated with BTS member J-Hope on new track called Killing It Girl. All right. So see this, all right, and you know the type of music you know she make is definitely not glorifying YAHAWAH Shimmy YAHAWAH. So it's a little uproar, okay? You got Dietrich Haddon, who is a known gospel artist, and he says Dietrich Haddon admits he's disappointed Glorilla won BET Gospel Award. All right, and it says, according to Dietrich Haddon, Glorilla's latest win indicates that gospel industry needs a complete reset. Okay, because yeah, you're seeing more and more of these artists, they're collaborating with secular artists, and some of them, they had a point where they said like they felt as if working with this secular artist, which it could draw in attention, because here it is, you collaborate with them, and then their fan base will see you, and then you're glorifying the Most High, okay, and His Son, you know, so maybe that will draw them in and closer. So they, you know, they might use that tactic. However, it's getting to a point where it's not pulling them in, okay. So something's not working, okay, which we're going to get into why that is. But see, I mean, I can understand where they're coming from. You know, that could be a genius move to work with them. But however, it's not reeling in the people, okay? And why is that? All right? Because it might be something wrong with the gospel music, period, before even working with secular artists, okay? So, you know, but like I said, he's upset, okay? And then, like I said, she had this song Rain Down on Me, which features Kirk Franklin, and they said something about him, he was twerking or something on there. I don't know, I didn't pull it up on here, but if I get to looking into it after I do my highways, maybe I might do a lesson on it tomorrow or something, Lord willing, I might look into it more. But you know, I've done lessons on Kirk, man. He got rebuked, you know, and he's at all these BET shows, and it's just he's become more and more worldly, man. You know, I remember back in the day, I was young, man, when he came out and he had that group God's Property, and they did that song Stomp. You know, that was heavy. You know, 'cause I grew up in the church and they loved that song, man. You know, and you thought he was doing something powerful, man. But you know, hey, money, man, changes people. But ultimately, we got to look at the music and stuff and all that according to the scriptures. Now that we have come into the faith and knowing that we the Israelites, okay, which I can explain why that is. But like I said, we'll get to it. All right, and then I got this right here, which I was going to go to Instagram, but I just wanted to, we could look at it from here. And it says, Caleb Gordon says that Glorilla winning the BET award are the consequences of Christian artists collaborating with secular artists. All right, so you have that. All right. Well, the scriptures does say this in 2 Corinthians 6:14. It says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness? Okay. All right. It says, in what communion have light with darkness? Okay. Like I said, you know, here it is, you know, you got these two together, and it's just, you know, you're not supposed to be joined with the world and with the wicked, man. Okay, even 2/3 of our people, oh, that's family, that's this and that. Nah, man, you got to get away from them, because what happens is they could pollute your mind. Next thing you know, you back out in the world again. Next thing you know, you be like, man, that person was on fire, man, in the truth, and now they out, they back smoking weed, they being drunkards, whoremongers. You know, the women are wearing less, they showing more skin, you know, and you're like, man, she was on fire, she was a sister in the faith, and now she's, you know, out here, you know, wearing skin tight clothes, provocative, you know, fall out, man. So again, it says, be ye not unequally yoked, okay, together with unbelievers. For what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion have light with darkness? All right. So you have that, okay? And then I want to bring this out. This is the book of Amos 5:23. It says, take thou away from me the noise of thy songs. So the Heavenly Father's not listening to your songs. But guess what? He's not also listening to the gospel music as well. And we're going to get that precept here in a second. But again, it says, take thou away from me the noise of thy songs, for I will not hear the melody of thy viols. Okay, and why is that? Well, guess what? You're worshiping Cesare Borgia. You're calling on God, which is not his name. He is a God. He is the God. He is the most high God. Okay, those are titles, but he does have a name. Okay, and we are in the time where the name is being declared throughout the earth. Okay, via the elect of the nation of Israel. Okay, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We are declaring those names, and if you can't hearken unto it, then the spirit just not with you. All right, but it's being declared. All right, you just rejecting it. All right, but this is John 4:23. This will explain, okay, because they're saying those are the consequences. Well, guess what? The Heavenly Father never was dealing with gospel music, period, because it's not worshiping him spirit and truth, man. It says, but the hour cometh now when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Okay, so now we're in a time where he's being worshiped in spirit and in truth. Okay, for the Father seeketh such to worship him. This is what he looks for. Okay, he wants you to worship him in spirit and in truth. All right. Verse 24 says, God is a spirit. Okay, as in Yahawah. Yahawah is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So you got to worship him in spirit and truth. So when we tell you like he's a black man, you say, oh, it don't matter. But then you go back to thinking gospel music. You think he's listening to your music? Absolutely not. Okay, because when you think it, you might think of him to be a so-called white man, with, you know, all right, with white stringy hair and a white beard, you know, when it tells you that his skin is like sardius and jasper stone, and when those are brown, that's a brown texture, all right, almost like a ruddy type brown, all right, in a way, all right, with a white woolly afro, all right, white beard. You're not thinking about that, and you say it don't matter, okay? And that shows you that Esau's got your mind, and that's why you can't. And you think that it don't matter. You can just, whatever you think in your mind. I can think of him as a Chinese man, and that's okay. It don't work like that. You must worship him in spirit and in truth. And if you can't do that, then you're wasting your time with the gospel. All right. So again, it says God is a spirit. Okay, Yahawah. All right. And they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. All right. Absolutely. Okay. And look, man, the sun is starting to shine despite the stormy day. Hey, I can feel that heat. Call all Yahawah Bashim Yahushua, man. All right. And while we're talking about spirits, I want to go back to this story here of to show you how powerful music truly is. Okay. Instruments and all this. And Esau knows this. That's why Esau takes our talents, all right, and he exploits them, man. All right. Where he got Jake in his raps calling all women bitches and whores and stuff like that, and that vibration. That's why I try to be mindful of what I listen to. Some Jakes might laugh at me and say, oh man, you listen to all that old lovey-dovey music and this and that, you know. Now, don't get me wrong, I listen to all type of music. It don't affect me like it can affect other people. All right. You know, I love music. I like instruments and things like that. I've you know, played music, make music, and wrote songs. I've done all that, man. So, you know, it's just part of me. However, you know, we do want to be careful what we listen to, because a lot of that stuff can poison you. You know, it can get to some people. All right. But it also, when you use it for the good, it could do this. All right. So let's get into it. This is 1 Samuel 16 and verse 14, starting at verse 14. I'm going to read a little bit too, so bear with me. All right. But it says, but the spirit of the Lord Yahawah departed from Saul, okay, King Saul at the time, okay, and an evil spirit from the Lord. So this also coming from the Lord troubled him, okay. So he got hit with a evil spirit, all right. And Saul's servants said unto him, behold, now an evil spirit from, all right, from God, okay, as in the Most High Yahawah, okay, troubled thee, okay. See, they knew it came from, you know, all right. Let our Lord now command thy servants which are before thee to seek out a man who is cunning player of a harp. Look, see, they know this is, our people knew back then the power of music, man, okay, of the harp. It says, and it shall come to pass when the evil spirit from Yahawah is upon thee, all right, that he shall play with his hands, and thou shalt be wailed, all right. Verse 17, and Saul said unto his servants, provide me now a man that can play well and bring him to me. Showing you that music is powerful, man. 18, it says, then answered one of the servants and said, behold, I have seen a son of Jesse, okay, the Bethlehemite, all right, if I'm pronouncing that right, all right, that is cunning in playing, and a mighty valiant man, okay, and a man of war, all right, and prudent in matters, okay. Look at this, and a comely person, and the Lord Yahawah is with him. Woo! Hey man, these scriptures give me chills, man. Verse 19. Wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse and said, send me David thy son, which is with the sheep. Okay. Verse 20. And Jesse took an ass laden, okay, with bread and a bottle of wine and a kid, and sent them, all right, by David his son unto Saul. Okay. Verse 21. And David came to Saul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, okay, and became his armor bearer, all right. Verse 22, and Saul sent to Jesse, saying, let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he hath found favor in my sight, okay. Verse 23, and it came to pass when the evil spirit from Yahawah was upon Saul, that David took a harp and played with his hands. So Saul was refreshed, see that, refreshed, and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. So you see how powerful music is? Esau don't want you to tap into this, man. All right, just playing music, okay. And this was just playing instruments, okay. It's just something about music, man. All right, but when it's done by a man of the Lord, okay, a woman, a man of the Lord, or a woman of the Lord, all right, in righteousness and truth, all right. Think about what that can do, man. Even it makes spirits go away, man. Okay. And this is not just for this incident right there. This can happen today in real time. All right. So now with that understanding and that power, I just want to go ahead and get into some precepts. Several of them that just come to my mind about singing songs unto Yahawah Shem Yahushua, and I'll close it out with that. Like I said, this wasn't intended to be a long lesson, but just showing you the power of music, okay? And you can see, you see the effects of it by just looking at Timberland, period. You know, that man, I'm telling you, man, he always been like a heavy set kind of dude, chunky, all right, and looked like he was a big dude, man, but healthy, man. All right, looking at him now, he all sunk in, and that's the power of music, man, on the left hand, and look what it's doing to him, man. All right. But this is the book of Psalms, chapter 33, verse 3. It says, "Sing unto him a new song, play skillfully with a loud noise." Okay. Heavenly Father like it when you make a joyful noise unto him. Okay. You ain't gotta be the best singer. You ain't gotta be a Whitney Houston or something. All right. You know, you just, hey, make a joyful noise unto Yahawah Shem Yahushua, man. All right. This is the book of Psalms 98, starting at verse 4. I'm going to read down to 6. And it says, "Make a joyful noise unto the Lord Yahawah, all the earth. Make a loud noise and rejoice and sing praise. Sing unto the Lord with the harp." Hey, it's what David played with, okay? With the harp, all right, and the voice of a psalm, all right? Verse 6, with the with trumpets and sound, all right, of cornet. And make a joyful noise before the Lord Yahawah the King. All right. Continuing on. All right. Psalms 96 and 1. "Oh, sing unto the Lord Yahawah a new song. Sing unto the Lord Yahawah all the earth." All right. Have that. All right. And there's a lot of them. Hey, and it's too many, man. I could keep going and going, but you know, I got a couple of them. This is Psalms 95 and verse 1. It says, "Oh, come, let us sing unto the Lord Yahawah. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation." Absolutely. He's got us, man. Okay. So that's why, hey, we're going to sing praises unto him. All right. This is Psalms 104 and 33. It says, "I will sing unto the Lord Yahawah as long as I live. I will sing praise to my power." Okay. "While I have my being." Okay. This is Isaiah 12 and 5. "Sing unto the Lord Yahawah, for he hath done excellent things." All right. This is known in all the earth. Okay. And guess what? He's going to get his praise back in this earth too. They're going to put some respect on his name. They're going to put some respect on his son's name. They're going to put some respect on the nation of Israel, man. The real Israelites. All right. That time is coming. Okay. It says when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. And you can clearly see the people ain't rejoicing right now, because you know the wicked are buried ruling, man. All right. The earth has been given into their hands, man, and they're ruling right now. Esau is the end of the world, and their end is coming. Okay, we got next, but we got to stay firm in this thing. Okay, so I'm gonna read this again. Sing unto the Lord Yahawah, for he have done excellent things. All right, this is known in all the earth. All right, and with that, Psalms 59:16, I'll go ahead and close it out. And it says, but I will sing of thy power, yea, I will sing aloud of thy mercy in the morning, for thou hast been my defense and refuge in the day of my trouble. Call Allah Yahawah Shem Yahushai. I want to give all honor, all glory, and all praise unto Yahawah Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Rakakudash. Double honors unto the elders of the nation of Israel. And shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Until the next one. Shalom.